Welcome, family and friends, as we remember Jesus' passion and crucifixion through the stations of the cross. After the final station, there will be no music, no closing prayer. You are welcome to stay for a short time for your own prayer and reflection, and then please leave the sanctuary in silence. We are grateful to all of you for being here.
Station 1. Pontius Pilate condemns Jesus to die on the cross. My name is Pontius Pilate. I am the man that the Roman emperor sent to rule over the Jews in Palestine. They were a hard people to please. Once when I tried to put pictures of the emperor in the temple of at Jerusalem, the people got very angry. Then the leaders of the people brought this man Jesus to me. They asked me to kill him on a cross. They even said that he claimed to be the Son of God. I was afraid. I would not dare try to kill a God. I was even more afraid that the Jewish leaders would report to the emperor that I was a traitor. They said to me, "If this man goes free, Pilate, you are no friend of Caesar." Will I let them have their way with Jesus? What would you have done in my place?
Jesus, without your help, we are like Pilate. We are afraid, and sometimes we do things we should not do. Remind us that when we hurt those who are innocent, we hurt you too. Give us strength to say no when someone wants us to do things we should not do.
Station 2. Jesus has to carry his own cross. My name is Barabus. I was in jail with Jesus because I had tried to kill some Roman soldiers, but Pilate let me go free. It was a big holiday in Jerusalem, and the Romans used to let one prisoner go free. Some people wanted Pilate to let Jesus go. But the leaders who hated Jesus got their friends to ask for my freedom. I saw Jesus take up his cross without saying anything. I hated my enemies, but Jesus seemed to love the people who were mean to him. What would you have done?
Jesus, you told us to forgive our enemies and to do good to those who hurt us. That's very hard for me to do. I want to hit and hurt and say mean things to anyone I do not like. But I will try to be more like you and show kindness instead. Thank you for showing me the way of love.
Station 3. Jesus falls down the first time. I am King Herod. From my palace window, I saw Jesus stumble and fall under the cross. He said once that anyone who wants to be his follower has to take up the cross and follow him. What a strange man he was, who would ever want to suffer. I like to have fun. I would have saved Jesus if he had worked some tricks for me, some miracles for me. But he would not even speak to me. I had killed his cousin John the Baptist. Jesus would have been afraid of me, but he just stood there and looked at me. Jesus, Herod called you a fool, but I believe in you. Sometimes I find life hard because I want everything to be easy. Help me to learn that by carrying my own little cross, the hard things of my life I become more like you.
Station 4. Jesus meets Mary, his mother. Jesus was my little boy. I held him in my arms in a stable at Bethlehem. I watched him grow up. When he was 12, Joseph and I lost him for many hours. Finally, we found him in the temple. He told us that he had to be about his Father's business. Is this cross his Father's business? I felt so sad to see him suffer and bleed, but I believe he knows what he must do for the world. I look into his eyes, and I saw only love, love for me and for you. Isn't my son wonderful?
Jesus, our own mothers love us very much. We know how sad your mother was to see you suffer. Help us always to be loving and kind to our parents, our grandparents, and our teachers. Let us see in them your messengers for us on earth.
Station 5. Simon helps Jesus carry the cross. My name is Simon. I am a farmer from the town of Cyrene. On that Friday morning, I had come up to Jerusalem from the fields where I worked. I saw a big crowd of people, so I went to see what was happening. All of a sudden, a Roman soldier grabbed me and made me carry the cross for a man condemned to die. I was very angry. I had not done anything wrong. But then I saw the man's face. His name was Jesus. He smiled as if to thank me. All of a sudden, the cross seemed lighter. All of a sudden, I was glad to help this poor man carry his cross. After that, I found it easier to help other people who were in trouble.
Jesus, sometimes I feel lazy. Sometimes I do not like to help other people. But you told us that you want your followers to serve others. Give me a generous and loving heart so that I can do good for everyone.
Station 6. Veronica wipes the face of Jesus. I'm Veronica. My home is on the street that leads to the place where the Romans crucified prisoners. I was in my doorway watching Jesus go by. I remember hearing him say, "As long as you give a cup of cool water to the least of your brothers or sisters, you give it to me." I wanted to help him, so I pulled the veil from my head and I wiped the blood and sweat from his face. The soldier almost hit me, but I did not care. Jesus looked at me with love, and that is all the thanks I need.
Jesus, sometimes I do not even notice when people need my help. Give me the eyes that are always open to see how others need me. Give me the hands that are always ready to reach out to help those who suffer.
Station 7. Jesus falls the second time under the cross. My name is Caiaphas, chief priest of the temple in Jerusalem. People came to me and said, "That fellow Jesus is dangerous. He claims to be God. He says he can forgive sins. Who did he think he was? He was just a carpenter from Nazareth. I had to protect my country from the Romans. It was better to get Jesus out of the way than to make the Romans angry with us. So I had him arrested. I saw Jesus fall under his cross, and I laughed to myself. He wouldn't be around much longer, would he?"
Jesus, you loved your country and your people, but some of their leaders did not understand that you were the person God promised to send as their Savior. Some of them hated you and planned your death. I want to love my own country. Please make our leaders good and just to all times, to all people.
Station 8. Jesus meets some of the women of Jerusalem. My friends and I had heard Jesus speak a few times. Sometimes we would bake bread and give it to him and his apostles for a snack. Then we saw him bleeding and wearing a crown of thorns. It was just too much. We started to cry. But he stopped and said, "Don't cry for me. Rather, cry for yourselves and for your children." What could that mean? I didn't understand a lot of what he said, but I truly believed he was God's chosen one. Do you believe that too?
Jesus. Many children like ourselves have had to suffer and die in terrible wars. Many children do not have homes to live in, nor enough food to eat. We know that you love children. Help all the mothers and fathers and the children of the world.
Station 9. Jesus falls the third time under the cross. I'm the Roman soldier who made a crown of thorns and put it on Jesus' head. I'm the one who forced him to get up every time he fell under his cross. But I saw how he forgave the people who hit him and made fun of him. When Jesus was on the cross, I asked him to forgive me for being unkind to him. I believe he truly was the Son of God. I hope you believe that too.
Jesus, sometimes I fall too when I sin and do things that go against your love for me. You got up from under your cross. Always pull me up, Jesus, when I fall into sin. Please forgive me, just as you did the Roman soldier.
Station 10. Jesus is stripped of his clothes. I am one of the criminals who was crucified with Jesus. I hated the Romans for arresting me and condemning me to die. This Jesus, who was on the other cross, they stripped off his clothes and made fun of him, but he didn't even answer back. I do not understand that. To me, he was a wimp. If he was so great, why didn't he free himself and me? All I wanted was to be free, but he did not do it for me. That made me furious. Wouldn't you be angry too?
Jesus, it must have hurt a lot to be pushed around by the soldiers and made fun of, even by the other criminals. But you showed us how to love and how to forgive. Teach me to be patient with my own hurts and troubles.
Station 11. Jesus is nailed to the cross. My name is Dismas. I used to rob people's homes until they caught me and condemned me to die next to that carpenter from Nazareth. I watched from my own cross as the soldiers nailed Jesus to his. I was surprised to hear him say, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Then I knew he had to be a great man. Then I knew he could help me too. I looked over and asked him to remember me when he came into his kingdom. He smiled through his blood and sweat and said, "Today you will be with me in paradise." I became a believer. Did you become a believer too?
Jesus, you promised the thief who was crucified with you that he would be with you in heaven. That is where I want to go when I die too. Help me to forgive those who hurt me. Please forgive me when I hurt others. Make me always ready to be happy with you in heaven.
Station 12. Jesus dies on the cross. They call me Mary Magdalene. I have never forgotten Jesus' love. I was one of the few disciples that stood next to him to the very end. I was there when he asked for something to drink. I was there when he cried out, "It is finished." Then he died. My Jesus stopped breathing. I was there to see the death of Jesus. Were you there too? There when they crucified my Lord. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord?
Jesus, we could not be there on Calvary Hill when you died, but we believe that whenever we go to Mass, you are there in the bread and wine. It's the next best thing to being under the cross. Help us always to know the wonderful story of your holy cross.
Station 13. Jesus' body is removed from the cross. I am Salome, the mother of the apostles James and John. My son James ran away when the soldiers came after Jesus, but John and I didn't run away. We stayed near the cross with Mary, Jesus' mother. I did not understand why Jesus had to suffer. It was only later on that I saw the light. But on that Friday evening, I knew I had to be there to help them to take his body off the cross. I had to be there to comfort his poor mother, who had lost her only son. Most of Jesus' friends ran away, but Jesus forgave them. Would you have run away?
Jesus, I do not know if I would have been brave enough to stay with you until the very end. All I know is that from now on, I want to be with you every day of my life. I invite you into my heart and ask you to make my faith stronger than that of your apostles on Good Friday.
Station 14. Jesus' body is placed in the tomb. I am Nicodemus. I helped my friend Joseph put the body of Jesus in a brand new tomb in a nearby garden. Joseph was braver than I was. He had the courage to ask the Romans for the body. I was always afraid of something. I became a follower of Jesus, but in secret I came to him only at night so that no one would know I was on his side. After the crucifixion, I was no longer afraid. I was angry and ashamed of myself for not stepping forward earlier to defend Jesus. I helped lay Jesus' body in the tomb. At the time, I did not know what it would be there for such a short time.
Jesus, I believed you stayed in the tomb only until the following Sunday. Then you rose from the dead. Thank you for dying for me and for coming back to life. You give me a reason to be happy when things do not go so well for me and my family.